So here we are at the Ark in Winchester, one of my favourite small galleries in the country. Last time I was here we were looking at an exhibition of Constable, and now in a way a world apart, but we're still talking about a British artist, an artist with an interest in narrative, an artist of great talents. This is an exhibition devoted to some of the work of Grayson, in particular the Ballad of Julie Cope, which is a story that he made up, I think partly to explore the period of his own childhood and reflect upon it, but also because he loves telling stories. And the result, the result took many forms, including a beautifully written poem, but also these tapestries reflecting on the life of the mythical Julie Cope, who is a baby boomer. Well, if we look at the tapestry, you can begin to tell her story. Over here, see a little house perched above the waters in Canvey Island. She was born during the floods, the famous floods of Canvey Island. The poem is full of, as the tapestry is too, is full of these little touches of local detail. As soon as she's born, she's wrapped haphazardly, because there's a flood, it's an emergency. She's wrapped in a lurex curtain, and she has to be passed out through a hole in the roof that her father has made to those waiting below, taken to safety in a boat, accompanied by a bobby wearing a splendid night cape. The story, as you might expect, perhaps, if you know much about Grayson Perry's work, the story is full of bittersweet ironies. It's not an entirely happy story, but it's got its moments of joy. Here she's getting married to her first love, a bloke called Dave, who works out in the refineries. I love the way this tapestry's been made. What is Grayson Perry thinking about when he makes something like this? It's made in Flanders, so he's clearly thinking about the Renaissance past. And it's composed like a Renaissance picture, but from an earlier period than the great age of tapestries, because we're looking at a scene in which the characters appear numerous times, as they would in the work of early Renaissance or medieval art. So those are the echoes for me. So what happens when you tell the story of a 1960s girl in the language of medieval Renaissance art? You get all these wonderful allusions and references. There's allusions to the deluge with the flood. Look at this, she's about to get married. Well, she's got married. She's got a bunch of flowers in her hand. But there's this telegraph pole, which reminds me of the bare trees that you often see in the stories of Christ. And that bird is always a signal of ill omen. The marriage is not going to end well. He's driving around in a two-toned Ford Capri with cans of lager on the roof. They're being bewildered by astonishing high modernist, well, low modernist, new 60s and 70s architecture, these strange colours swirling in the sky. How confusing it is to be brought up to live in this world. Look at her staring eyes, look at her astonishing hair, look at his jacket, look at the curve of his tie. Funny way, what it reminds me of is, it reminds me a bit of something that Charles Baudelaire said, talking about the age of the Impressionists. And Baudelaire was attacking those who upheld in Paris at that time the cult of classicism, the idea that people should always be dressed as if for eternity. Baudelaire said, no. What makes art memorable is the fact that it captures the moment of its time. So all you painters of Paris now, I want you to paint top hats as dandies wear them currently on the boulevard. and so on and so forth. And that's exactly what Grayson Perry's done here. He's capturing, in the timeless language of tapestry, the peculiarities of dress and costume and differences in class and in aspiration that he's noticed. I mean, this is very much, the story of Julie is very much the story of someone who's born, quotes, into the